first, of course, we have to give you all of the updates from Iran and what is happening with the protests and the elections in Iran. So today, another massive protest in Iran. The numbers are about 500,000 people who showed up, apparently, according to the sources on the ground. Now, the sources on the ground are scant, unfortunately, because the Iranian government has started to crack down on journalists in a tremendous way. They say that there will be very serious consequences if people do not listen to their orders. They have told the foreign press that they are not to leave their hotel rooms and that some visas have already been revoked, and that they are not to film any of this, they are not to report any of this under any circumstances. They have started arresting local journalists. 2 very prominent local Iranian journalists have been arrested already. Now, if you're watching on the YoungTurks.com, you can see this enormous line of people that stretches for what appears to be miles here in the middle of Tehran, with hundreds of thousands of people. As I said, the estimate appears to be, by the people on the ground, 500,000. And how are we getting these pictures if there's such a ban on reporting in Iran? YouTube. People, you see, you can't stop the technology today, so somebody just leans out of their patio or gets on their roof and they start taping it, and then they put it on YouTube. So how do you like your ban on reporting now, Iran? Now, the journalists are not the only people that they have arrested. They have also arrested reformists, activists, and some politicians. A former vice president has been arrested, and they are trying to do a clampdown on the whole protest situation. In fact, very disturbing news reported by Reuters about what is happening in Isfahan. Mohammad Reza Habibi is a senior prosecutor in the central province of Isfahan, and here's his quote. "We warn the few elements controlled by foreigners who try to disrupt domestic security by inciting individuals to destroy and to commit arson, that the Islamic penal code for such individuals waging war against God is execution." So, a couple of talking points in there. One, oh yeah, of course, anybody here who is protesting is being controlled by the West. And of course, the Iranian government has also now put out statements saying that the West and the United States are meddling in their elections, and that any kind of damage or arson at all is an offense against God. And now we get some reports, and these reports are more, harder to verify, let's put it that way. Who's setting the mopeds on fire? I've seen a couple of motorcycles on fire, mopeds on fire, sometimes portions of buildings. The Mousavi guys say the Ahmadinejad guys are setting it on fire, the Basiji militia, sometimes in plain clothes. Of course, the Ahmadinejad guys say, no, the Mousavi guys are setting it on fire. But the most important part of that statement from Isfahan was, if you do this, you will be executed. Now, that's a very, very strong statement, obviously. And we have, on the other hand, these people are undaunted. We have these crowds who are showing up and saying, wearing the green wristbands, the green masks, the green clothes, and now also black clothes as well. Why? Because for the people who have died in these protests. Now, yesterday, the Iranian State News Agency admitted that there were 7 people who had died. Juan Cole was on this program, said at least 10 to 12 had died. And today I saw a report from a respected human rights group saying up to 32 people have been killed in these protests. So Mousavi has put out a statement saying 2 things. One, go to your local mosque and pray for our martyrs, the ones who have died, bravely protesting and demanding to know where their vote is, and that they be counted and they be heard and represented in their own government, and that we wear black in their honor. And that number 2, on Thursday, an even larger protest and rally. So how the Iranian government deals with that might be very, very telling. Now, what is the Iranian government doing? Well, that is very interesting indeed. Very late in the program yesterday, in our post-game show, we saw breaking news that Grand Ayatollah Hussein Ali Montazeri had come out and said that this election, that anyone who had any mind realized this election was fixed and was ridiculous, and that it was against Islam to deny your people their voice, and that if the police struck the protesters, that they would be violating the tenets of Islam and the Quran. So that is the most senior cleric inside Iran. Now, you have to understand the internal politics of Iran. He was also a guy who might have replaced Ayatollah Khomeini, but he lost out to Ayatollah Khamenei, who is now in charge and backing Ahmadinejad. So there are these rivalries as well. And part of the reason Montazeri lost out is because he had, in some small ways, criticized the original revolution. Now that means he had a mind, and he's saying, look, some things worked and some things didn't, within his own context. Of course, the hardliners couldn't have that, and that's why he is now considered a dissident cleric, even though he is the single most senior cleric within Iran, and his voice obviously carries a good deal of weight inside there as well. And another guy whose voice carries a lot of weight is Rafsanjani. He is the head of what is called the Assembly of Experts. These are the 86 clerics that decide who the next supreme leader is going to be. And sometimes they can also decide who will be removed from being supreme leader. They are now meeting in Qom. That is another city in Iran, and that could be the most relevant news of all. Now, don't get too excited. Obviously, Khamenei has very large support, and he's already the supreme leader, so he has the infrastructure behind him, he has the hardliners behind him, but there are a number of clerics inside Iran who are against him, who've already spoken out, saying that these elections are a sham, and Assembly of Experts are meeting now in Qom, and it is possible that they could walk out and say, we have a new supreme leader. Or many other things. They could say, we have this same supreme leader, but you know what? We thought about it, and it looks like a new election is what God had in mind. We had a little brief, instant messaging chat with Allah, and he says, better to go with another election before these protesters eat us up, and that we lose the whole Iranian people and the ability to govern them. So we'll see how that plays out, but that's at least encouraging.